Okay, so have you ever felt like, I don't know, maybe this whole always connected thing is messing with our like internal drive?
It's funny you should mention that. It's something that comes up more and more these days. We're all walking around with the whole world in our pockets, but are we losing something because of it?
Right. And I think it's something a lot of us kind of feel,
Yeah.
like you've talked before about how you used to have to like seek out the internet, dial up and forums and all that.
Exactly. And even those really early social media sites, it was a very conscious choice to connect back then.
Totally.
And I think maybe there was something about that that made it special. Each connection felt, I don't know,
Yeah.
new. Like you really valued the information because it wasn't this just constant, never-ending stream.
And now it's like our brains are on overdrive 24/7. And that actually, it makes me think about something else that I was reflecting on, which is that even if I didn't always finish those projects,
Yeah.
back in the day,
Hmm.
the excitement to start something new,
Yeah.
it just felt different.
And that's something you hear a lot of people talking about. And what's really interesting is that it's not just nostalgia. There's actually, some research starting to suggest that this constant digital stimulation,
Oh, really?
it might be impacting our brain's reward system. Like literally, think about it. Every time you get a notification,
Right.
like on social media, your brain, it gets this little hit of dopamine,
Just
right?
that feel-good chemical.
Exactly.
So we're basically getting rewarded just for being plugged in.
Yeah, and so that's all well and good, but then it's like, what happens when you're constantly flooded with these.
Right. Like, what does that actually do?
Exactly. And some researchers are suggesting that it might actually be making it harder for our brains to tap into those deeper, more sustainable rewards of like intrinsic motivation
Oh, interesting.
because we're so busy chasing that next, like, or, whatever it is. We lose sight of what might, I don't know, really fulfill us in the long run. And it made me think about what you were saying earlier about how sometimes it's like, it's almost like you feel, I don't know, kind of lethargic.
Yes. Like my brain is being overworked or something.
Yes.
And are you saying that that could actually like work against like our natural drive to want to do those bigger, more meaningful things?
That's exactly what I'm saying. And
Right.
like, it's almost like, we get so used to those like quick hits of gratification
Right.
that we kind of forget like the deeper satisfaction, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you because it's like, even thinking about back then, like, I don't know, the internet, even if it was a little clunky sometimes,
Yeah.
it was still like this like new exciting thing. Like I taught myself how to code. I built websites and stuff.
Right.
Like not because I thought it would, I don't know, get me a job or anything,
Yeah.
but it was just fun,
Yeah, absolutely. And like, don't get me wrong, like obviously external rewards aren't like always a bad thing.
Yeah.
They can be motivating,
Yeah.
but it's when they become the main thing,
Mhm.
that maybe we lose sight of that. Like
Like the joy of just doing something for the sake of it.
exactly, like that intrinsic drive, that's really powerful,
So then how do we break free from that cycle then? Like how do we get back to that?
Right. And so one of the things that we need to understand is like all the ways that our devices, right, they work against that.
Oh, interesting.
Right. So there was actually this like fascinating study. I think they did it at UC,
Okay.
and they basically found that just having your phone nearby, even if it's on silent, it can actually reduce your cognitive capacity.
Right.
And it can even like hurt your performance on tasks that need like focus and attention, you
Yeah.
know?
I had no idea it was like that powerful.
Yeah.
I've definitely noticed that like just having my phone like on the table,
Yeah.
it's like I'm way more likely to get distracted.
Of course.
But okay, so awareness is like the first step.
Yeah.
But what else?
Well, right. So it's like instead of thinking of it as this constant battle against technology, right?
Yeah.
Like, what if we thought about it as a way to kind of like retrain our brains, right?
Like,
As
yeah.
you can train your body to, run a marathon or lift weights, whatever, right?
Yeah.
You can do the same thing with your brain to like focus, to resist those distractions and to really tap back into that intrinsic motivation.
Oh, I like that. So it's not about like, technology being bad. It's just about being more intentional with it.
Exactly.
But how do we actually do that though? I mean, it's so easy,
Yeah.
to just get sucked in.
Well, and that's where it comes down to like building new habits, creating those boundaries. I know it sounds really simple, but like, setting aside time for focused work, like put your phone in a different room, turn off the notifications and just like allow yourself to get into that flow state.
It's true. Because I have noticed that, like, even if I can just like do that for like an hour, it makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. And like, here's the other thing. When we do that, right? When
Yeah.
we disconnect from, all the noise and all of the stuff, that's when things get interesting, right? We start to, and this might sound weird, but we start to rediscover like the joy of being bored.
The joy of being bored. I mean, that sounds like kind of counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Right.
So it's not just about like, turning everything off. It's like our brains are doing something like important during those times.
It's like, imagine, right? Your mind is like a garden. Okay.
Okay.
If you're constantly like bombarding it with information, it's like you're never letting anything, it's like you're
Oh.
tilling the soil over and over again. You're never letting those seeds, take root. But when you allow yourself those moments of quiet, that's when the magic happens, like that's when things start to grow.
That's actually, it's funny because like a lot of times I feel like I have those like, aha moments when I'm like least expecting it, like in the
Yeah.
shower or like going for a walk or something.
Before.
Like when my brain isn't focused on anything specific.
That's when those connections happen, because your brain finally has the space to actually like breathe
Yeah.
and like, wander a little bit. And it's in those moments that we often rediscover that, like, that love of learning, right? That joy of just like figuring things out.
And isn't that what it's all about, really? I mean,
Exactly.
it's not that technology is bad. It's just about finding that,
That balance.
yeah. Like how can we use these tools in a way that actually like helps us instead of like, I don't know, stresses us out?
Right. It's about being intentional. Like you're in the driver's seat. And the cool thing is like even small changes can make a big difference, Like what if you just started with like 15 minutes a day
Okay.
where you just like put your phone away
Yeah.
and you do something, that you actually enjoy just for you.
Yeah, I like that. Well, listen, this has been awesome. I've learned so much.
It's been my pleasure.
And I know everyone listening has too. So, let us know, like, what are some of the things that you do to like, unplug and recharge and tap back into that,
Yeah.
that inner motivation. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, happy diving.